Okay, students that are taking math for business and finance and math applications, we're doing the Chapter 5 drill problems, the odd numbered problems, and from all three sets. And we finished on 5-5, so let's jump over to 5-7. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we're solving the unknown from the following equations. So we have 8y is equal to 96. And this problem was very much identical to problem 5-5 in the previous video. So go back and watch that theory or my explanation of it, because all I'm going to do is divide by 8 in order to um, have those reduced to the lowest terms. And what I do on the left-hand side, I do on the right-hand side. So I'm left with my y on the left of the equal sign, and 8 into 96 goes 12 times. Okay, right. Remember, what you do on the left, since this is multiplication, I'm going to divide in order to be able to isolate the variable. And what I do on the left-hand side, I have to do on the right-hand side. Okay, that's the rule. All right, 5-9. All right, I have, now pay attention to how I read this, okay, because this has to do with the parentheses. All right, 4 times the quantity. Okay, whenever we're discussing what's in the parentheses, we verbalize it by saying times the quantity. So the quantity is what's between the two paragraph marks. Okay, this here is all the quantity, which is p minus 9, and then that equals 64. So when I'm reading this equation, I read it 4 times the quantity, p minus 9 is equal to 64. And remember that it's understood that right here, that's a multiplication sign. Okay, that's multiplying, because it's right next to the quantity, and that right next to the parentheses. If I had something like 4 minus 2p minus 9 is equal to 64, okay, well then I'm no longer multiplying 4 times that quantity, I'm multiplying a minus 2 times that quantity, okay? I do multiplication and division before I do addition and subtraction, all right? So just be aware that when the number is right up against uh, the parentheses, that means we're multiplying there. So I have 4 times the quantity, p minus 9 is equal to 64. Now the thing here is that we have to multiply this out so that we can isolate our variable p. And we have to take the 4 and multiply it times each part of that quantity. So 4 times p is 4p. That's the first part. Then we take 4 times the minus 9, okay? So 4 times minus 9 is minus 36. And then we make that equal to 64, okay? Now, we still have to isolate the p. We want to get it on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other. So just like we did in problems 5-1 and 5-3, right, I'm going to move the minus 36 over across the equal sign, and that means I'm going to add it. Change the sign and add it. Right? And so that gives me 4p is equal to, what's this, 100. And then since I want to further isolate my p here, I divide both sides. What you do on one side, you have to do on the other, by the constant, by the whole number there. And that is able to reduce. So I end up with p is equal to 100 over 4, which p then is equal to 25. Okay. All right, let me clean that up and go over it again real quick. Okay, here we go. 4 times the quantity p minus 9 is equal to 64. Okay, I have to multiply the 4 times what's inside the quantity into each factor. So 4 4 times p is 4p, and then a positive 4 times a negative 9 is a negative 36. Remember, a positive times a negative is equal to a negative. A positive times a positive is equal to positive, and a negative times a negative is equal to a positive. Okay, so whenever you multiply something together, if they have opposite signs, you end up with a negative. If they have like signs, you end up with positives. Okay, so 4p is equal to 36, and then we set that equal to the 64. And the next step is we want to isolate the variable on the left. So we move the whole number over to the other side. Now remember, you can either add a plus 36 to both sides. What you do on the left, you do on the right. Or my shortcut is taking the 4p, and then I move the minus 36 over across the equal sign. And when I do that, I have to change the sign, and I end up with a plus 36. So that gives me 4p is equal to 100 when I do the math. And I still need to isolate the p. Since that's multiplication there, I want to divide both sides by that whole number of 4, which allows me to cancel that out. And I'm left with p is equal to 100 over 4, which is equal to 25. Okay, 5-17. Solve for the unknown again. 7, before I go there, we just went from, go up one slide here, we just went from problem 5-9 in the drill problem, which was the first of 3 sets. Okay, and now I'm going to jump to the drill problems for the second of 3 sets on the next page, and that's why we're jumping from problem 5-9 all the way over to 5-17, because we're going to do all of the drill problems together. I'm not going to go drill problem, word problem, drill problem, word problem. I'm doing all of the drill problems. Okay, so 7b is equal to 490. All right, we want to isolate the variable on the left, and just like the previous problem, we're going to divide both sides. What you do on one side, you need to do on the other. We're going to divide both sides by that constant so that we can reduce. And that leaves me with a b on the left-hand side and 490 over 7 on the right-hand side, which then doing the division, we end up with 70. Okay, simple enough. All right, 519. N over 9 is equal to 7. All right, well, now we want, since we're dividing n by 9, right, we want to isolate the n. Since we're dividing, we do the opposite. That's one of the rules, do the opposite, and multiply both sides. What you do on the left, you have to do on the right. That's a rule. You're going to multiply both sides by 9 in order to be able to isolate the n. So I have 9 times 9. Now remember that when I'm multiplying by 9, I'm multiplying by a whole number, which is understood that it's over 1, right? Any number over itself, over 1, is that number, okay? So by multiplying by 9, now I can cancel out. That reduces to a 1, right? And that leaves me with 1 times n and 1 times 1, or just plain old n, which is equal to 63. 7 times 9 is 63. Okay. All right. Let me go back over that real quick. N over 9 is equal to 7. Okay. Now, what since I'm dividing on the left, okay, I need to multiply on both sides. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to write 9 times 9 here. And remember, this is understood that it's 9 over 1. And this is going to cancel. And I'm left with n on the left. Now, me personally, I wouldn't do all of that. Me personally, but then again, I understand the rules, okay? All I would do is I would go like this. I know that that's canceling out, and that would be multiplying by 9, so I end up with 9 is equal to 63. Okay, since I'm dividing here, I know I'm multiplying here, so I could just cancel that out. That becomes a 1, and I showed you all of the math for it. I put the 9 over here, so I'm saving myself time. But remember, that's me understanding the rules and me having done that problem, that type of problem, or that work many, 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 many times. All right. If you're not at that point, that's fine. Okay. You can write the 9 times and then cancel those out and get 63, right? And that's fine showing your work, okay? But as time goes on and you've done 1,000 of these, you'll start to realize that why am I writing all this stuff? In the beginning, don't take the shortcut. I'm telling you, don't take the shortcut because this is a simple problem, all right? When you get into a very, very complicated problem, I actually still do this kind of thing right here, okay? But that's because it's more complicated and I need to be able to keep track of what I'm doing. So it's not like, oh, I just forget completely about it. No, I'll actually do that kind of work. But simple problems, you see where I'm going. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and pick up in the next video.